All right. Think I'm live right now. I am. Hello, friends. I will mute myself for just a couple of minutes here. Oh, let's start getting ourselves going here. No, 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 no. Too many windows open. Too many things going on. Everybody's had a good week. I feel like I should have some music going for everybody. Some good, good elevator music just for holding. Audio stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Make sure that's a setting in OBS that I am not going to change because that would cause me to go offline. And we don't want to do that. All right, we've hit 11. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Let people filter in. Timing these is always weird because I know people. It's I basically try to fit these into when I can stream them, but I know that doesn't always work for folks after the fact. So I'll touch on that a little bit as well in a minute here. Let's turn on the stream audio just so I can hear myself. Levels are good. Levels are good. Now let's mute because listening to myself is not to help me out here. Okay. So, uh, hello, folks. My name is Matt Goins. Most of you who get these emails and tune into these streams know who I am. But for those who are new, I'm Matt. I'm with the WiscWeb team. I do training, support, consultations, general jack of all trades for doing all this stuff. And I've started this series. I have dubbed it Learn with Matt. Basically, this series is just an opportunity for me to do some things within WiscWeb, within WordPress, within the UW theme that um, I get questions about on a somewhat regular basis, and I'll answer, one on one. But I figured, why not just try and do some of these streams, record some video, and make these kind of things available so that I can try and impart some of that either knowledge or learning that I have done onto all you. And in some cases, like last week with the WP data tables and WP data charts, I mean, it's an opportunity for me to also learn a little bit more um, as well. And I am perfectly okay with pie on the face and not knowing everything and um, everything not working. So uh, it's fun. It's fun to learn, fun to try some different things out, and hopefully you guys will all benefit from all that. So, that all being said, welcome into today's little session. Today's session, we're going to talk about page layouts and the page elements and just some different ways to display your data, some different things to think about with the way that you're displaying your data. Um, some of this stuff will be familiar to many of you because this is just kind of what you do. For folks who are learning or maybe just looking for something different, looking for a different take on laying some pages out, I hope that you get some benefit from this as well. So, first thing to touch on, let's bring up my notes. Um, the first thing that I want to touch on is really, and if Adam Hillsmeyer is watching the stream at all or in the chat at all, he'll be one that I will always lean on for this type of conversation. Is anything that you're going to do with your website, anything that you're going to do with a particular page, anything that you're going to do with any content on a particular page, the first thing that you should always consider is, what are your goals? What do you want the outcome to be? What do you hope to provide? What do you hope to succeed? What is the end result that you're looking for? I want more clicks. I want more page views. I want it to look fresher. I want more students to apply, those kind of things. Think about what it is that you want your content to do, you want your pages to do, because that'll help drive to a certain extent how you want to lay these pages out. And so then once you have some goals in mind, what's next? Well, do you start from the bottom up? One of the questions I get on a regular basis is, we're looking to redo our website. What can we do? And that's a difficult one, because depending upon the size of your website, that's something that WiscWeb struggles with in general. And the fact that you have your WiscWeb site, we don't really have a secondary site for you. And so sometimes you have to kind of rebuild in place. So, kind of map that process out, and again, get in touch with me, work with me to find out how to best go about some of those steps. Replacing pages, are you changing URLs, setting up redirects and things like that, where person might have old page bookmarked, let's get them to new page, set up your redirects. So those kind of things. So now, what have I been doing over the past few days in preparing for this? So let me switch this scene real quick to my page there. So one of the things that I have been doing over the past few days is kind of thinking about, like, what do I want to show all of you, and what do I want to kind of talk through? And so a lot of times we get questions about, like, well, I want a different type of layout with the layout blocks. And I've been thinking about, like, how can I take something like this? And this is just something I looked up real quick, and I just literally Googled page layouts and came up with this image right here. You can obviously see it's a Drupal site, and that's something that we have had a few sites come over from Drupal into WordPress, into the WiscWeb area, and I look at these kind of things and I go, okay, well, some of these things I can definitely recreate. Um, some of these things we can't. So like these ones that have like a vertical bar through the whole, or a vertical layout throughout the whole page, and then you have like these right here where they're stationed next to that vertical bar. We can't do that. We only have one, two, and three column layouts. We don't have a one column layout and then an additional two column layout right next to it. So you kind of have to look at it and go, okay, well, I can't do that. So let's what's next? What are some of these other things? So again, you can kind of look through and you can kind of see, and we'll land here. So here's something that we can kind of take a look at and think about building. It's a two column, and then it's two three columns. So let me bring this up. So let's add new, and let's just call this home. I'm going to create my new homepage. Um, so when you're building a new page, you get asked, do you want to build out a particular layout right away? I tend to just leave this collapsed because I'm me and I do things on the fly. Most of you who have taken the trainings with me, you'll see I just kind of bounce around quite a bit in my thought processes. So I'll just, I'll use add content layout buttons that are down below. And again, kind of throw some things around on there. So next up we have the add upper content. So this is your hero image, your very large image at the top of the page. Well, obviously it says the hero area is 1600 pixels wide and 500 pixels high. So it's a pretty large image. So if I wanted to, I can click on add image and I can find a large image to put into here. That's not it. Obviously I have Abe in front of Bascom Hall. If you look over here on the side, you'll notice that it's 2400 pixels wide by 1600 pixels high. It'll fit. I'll click select. There it is. That's what it will look like. And again, you can tinker around with the headlines, the featured content insets, things of that nature. Now, one of the things that I have conversations about with folks is, well, it's a pretty big image. What else can I do with it? And so one of the things that I have shown folks is when you are building out anything related to images within the UW theme and within WiscWeb, the most important part of an image is the width. So the hero image is the perfect example of this because it has to be 1600 pixels wide. If it's not 1600 pixels wide, what's going to happen is the element is going to stretch that image out to meet the minimum requirement. And because it's going to stretch it out width-wise, it's also going to stretch it out height-wise. And so for some of you, when you build out these pages, you have images that are gorgeous when they're 600 by 400, 400 by 400, 800 by 600, whatever it might be. And you go, that's my hero image. And then you put it in your hero image and it just stretches out and it looks pixelated and it's huge and people have to scroll a lot for it. So you have to be self-critical. You have to look at that and go, no, that doesn't work. Don't just throw it in there and just call it a day. If it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. And that's a reflection of your site. So be critical about what it is that you're putting in front of people. Don't just accept. So that's a big one that I wanted to push there. But also, if I have an image that's big enough, but I don't want to scroll as much, so long as I hit that 1600 wide, I can change that height a little bit. I can play with that height. So here you'll see I've halved it. It's 1600 pixels by 250 pixels. So I'll click select there and I'll put that in. And now I still have the width. I still have a nice banner image, but I've narrowed it. So now I have created less scroll. Obviously, you have to have some comfort with Photoshop to do some of these things. I've always said if you need a little tutorial on using Photoshop and anything related to image editing that is simple, I'm more than happy to chat with folks about that. We also have a KB doc out there that that talks about using Photoshop to crop images. So it is KB doc 73864. And it talks through that whole process. So I want you to be aware of that. So again, I just want a narrow image up there. So I'm good there. So I'll put that down there. And so now let's start talking about building out this particular layout right here. So I don't know if I can get it perfect like that, but I can at least throw some things at that. So now I know I need a 2-column layout. So I will click the plus sign right here and I will add a 2-column layout. And looking at that image, that looks like left side is wider than right side. So I know that I need to click on this gear icon for the settings of the column layout. And then I'm going to change it, the column display value here, and it's going to go left 60, right 40. Now, in looking at that particular image, that's probably not going to be exact. This looks more like thirds. And we're not quite there with our setup, so it might not be perfect, but again, I'm just kind of trying to meet that particular need. And so now once I have set that value there, I can get rid of that gear icon. We'll put a text block in here. I'll put a text block in here for now, just for having some things in there, and let's go. Just throw in some sample text there. So I know I'm not going to use this 1-column layout, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove it. So I'll click the minus sign. Yep, I want to remove it. So now I've got that top layer. I've got that 60, left 60, right 40. So now I can just go down here and I can say, oh, I want to add a 3-column layout. So I'm just going to add a 3-column layout. And now I have some options. I can put images in here. I can put featured content blocks down here. I can put more text blocks down here if I wanted to. There's lots of options there, but I'm just going to go with, let's go with text block right now because it'll play into what I'm saying. So we'll just kind of go there. And then same idea here, back down, another 3-column layout. Or what I could do is, since this is 1 column, this is a 2nd column, this is a 3rd column, I could just add an additional text block underneath it. So there we go. Don't need to worry about lower content. Don't need to worry about the excerpt right now. So that's fine. So now I'll save the draft. And once it's saved, I'll click preview. And there you'll see there's I haven't set it as my home page, so obviously home is not the way it is, but there you go. There it is. So I know that that's 1 text block right there. And there's the 2nd text block underneath it. Let me bounce back over to the stream so I actually know that what I'm showing you guys is actually showing up in the stream there. Okay. So that's it. I've created that particular layout right there. Oops, sorry. Let me close my email so that doesn't happen again. Apologies. So that's simple enough. And now again, I have options with what I want to do with that. So I could go in here and instead of text blocks, I could delete this out, delete this out, this out, and I could say, you know what, I want to do the featured content block. I'm a big fan of the featured content block. I like using them as like navigation options for us. There, so let's go there. Let's go there. So again, no, enter 1, 2, and I did talk about this several months ago with a navigation type thing. So I can have these link, or I could not have them. They could just be content that I put on there. That I might want to highlight. So, let's delete that out. So let's say, let's add an image. I don't think I've edited any of these images for this purpose, but let's just I'll grab this one. It's a big image. I'll use it. Let's grab this one. That one. That's a vertical. No, it should work. And then let's grab, I like this image here. So there we go. No links there. So let's do save draft again. Let's do preview there, and then let's come down. And now you'll see I've changed it up. Obviously the font changes, the way that it looks has changed, but now I can highlight things that I might want to about my program rather than linking off to things. I might just want to highlight certain things about my department and about my program here. Instead of it being navigation, I could just use it as feature. And again, here are the text blocks underneath there. So there's another way to think about doing that stuff. Let me bounce back over here real quick. The gallery of layout types. Let me see here real quick. So there is what's called the kitchen sink of elements. That I'll throw the link into that has, like, it highlights the page elements and then also has some of the different types of layouts in there as well. So this is one thing that you could do. We do have some demos on our site as well. So if you go to wiscweb.wis.edu and you go under features, we do have the layouts, we do have the page elements and everything there. I don't think we have anything that's like a gallery per se of the different types of things. Um, but that is something that we can think about improving in the future. Other simple photo editing besides Photoshop. Wow, I have used Photoshop forever that I don't know if there is a better option. I know Photoshop is intimidating, but I think if you want to do some photo editing and Photoshop intimidates you, let's chat, because I use Photoshop for probably up to 5% of everything that it can do. And it works just fine for me. I sharpen photos, I change the opacity of photos, I resize photos, I crop photos. Um, and then, like was said right below your message, if all you need to do is crop a photo or resize a photo, Microsoft Paint works pretty well, and it's free. Um, so you could give that a shot as well. Um, Let me bounce back over to my edit page here. And then the other question, recommend that all pages within your site follow the same layout. So, I mean, that's a good question. Honestly, the one thing that I see pretty often is your homepage can be one thing, and it can be a particular layout. And then you might want to follow a similar layout further along within your site. Especially if you have parent child relationships, you might want those parents and children pages to follow a similar layout so that people can easily navigate through that. Um, Depending upon the content as well. So, I might have a page here and I might bounce people to like an undergraduate page. And now this undergraduate page becomes like a sub homepage. And now here I might have a particular layout that I want to attract the eyes because I'm trying to attract audiences. I'm trying to draw you in. So I might have a different type of layout here. But then if I have sub pages of the undergraduate um, page, then I might follow a similar layout for those so that people can easily get back and navigate through them. And then, as always, your breadcrumb navigation is a benefit as well. So that is something that you could look at as top level pages, your home page obviously can have one particular layout. Secondary pages might have a particular layout, but then as you start to dig down into there, you might want to follow a similar theme because of the fact that you just want to make that navigation a little bit easier there. Okay, so just getting back to it again, we're kind of just playing around with these layouts that I am looking at here. I've obviously built this one here. And then you can kind of see like, oh, well, I have a one column right there. I have three columns right there, and then another one column. Or again, we can't do that one. Um, this one is it's a 1-3, although that three column. We've talked about this in the past with the theme is like being able to adjust those. I don't think that's something that we really want to do because um, there is a cause for concern there with just issues with the layouts, the way that people use the layouts. We sort of have to protect people from making mistakes as well. And mistakes are good, but at the same time, one of the things that I have seen often is if I point out a mistake to someone or if I point out a design faux pas, it's something that has sat for a long time, probably. And to a certain extent, we want to try and keep things simple. Part of what I want to show today is that you can think outside of the box for some of these things, but you have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So, again, here's one, two column 50-50, one, two column 50-50, one. That's all that is. So again, so now that I'm showing you this and like hopefully I'm starting to build that idea in all of you that I mean yeah, I can do some different things because I have the options to do a one page or one column layout and then beneath it a two column layout and then beneath it another one column layout. You can stack those layouts and you can really start to tinker around with the way that things look. So let's start to throw some other interesting things at these types of layouts here. So I've got my two column layout up here with the two text boxes, and then I've got the featured content blocks here. But what else can I do here? So one of the things that you need to think about with your homepage is your homepage should be a one-stop shop to find out who you are, what you offer, why you matter, what else can I learn. I see homepages often try to do so much that as a person who doesn't always know what a department is about, what a program is about, what a division, a lab, whatever it might be, what any of those are about, I don't necessarily get drawn in if you don't tell me who you are or tell me what you offer. So one of the things that you should think about with your homepage is explain what you do, explain who you are. And so, for example, if I'm building a lab website, for example, let's see, maybe I want this to be well, let's go back to 50-50 for now. And then let's say, welcome to the Matt Goins lab of page layout training. So in this gear icon, in these settings icons, you have a headline. It's a little message that can go at the top of the content layout that's like a section header. And so I can do that. So let's go here and let's get rid of this one. Let's remove this text block. And actually what I'll put in over here is, I have a couple of things I could do here. I'm going to go with image first. And I'll go, I really liked this image when I was looking for images this morning. Again, I cannot beg of you enough. Those of you who are, I guess, old school WiscWeb users, you have heard me beat this drum quite a bit. Any Any image that is not decorative, that's not like a little icon type thingy, you must underline, arrows pointing at it, bold text. You must add alternative text to those images. It is an accessibility requirement of our campus. It should be an accessibility requirement of any design, anybody who builds web pages. It should just become habit. I upload an image, I automatically add alt text to it. Just it should just be your workflow. New image, alt text. New image, alt text. Everything else can come later. You must attend to alt text. So, student filling files with fluid. We'll just go with that. You want to be descriptive of the image and kind of just, what is the purpose of the image? What is it trying to do there? So, all right, I'll click select. So that's my image on the left side. And then over here on the right side, I might just write, welcome to the lab of, I'm going to kind of wing it here, but of mat training stuff. Here we provide helpful tips to guide you and sometimes confuse you in building your website. Okay? Tell me what it is you do. Tell me your purpose. Tell me who you are and why I should care about what it is I'm looking at. Your niche audience, your built-in audience, the people who you know are going to come to you, they're going to land there and they're going to go where they need to go within your site. But if you're trying to create leads, if you're trying to create more audience, you're trying to grow, you really want to grab people and tell them what it is you do. So, and then I'm going to get rid of the hero image too because I don't need that up there right now. So let's save draft and let's preview. And so here's what I've done. Again, this doesn't look good because I don't have it set as my homepage. You know what? Let's fix that problem right now. Let's publish this page. And then let's go to Appearance, Customize. I've built a new homepage and I want to set it as my homepage. So I will go to Homepage Settings, Old Home, Home, Publish. Then get out of there. And now, there it is. Obviously, I'd want a little more text in here to fit this image here. But this is what I've done. I have welcomed you. I have given you some information about who I am. Maybe also I'll add sorry, again, things, I forget to turn things off when I start the stream. Maybe I want to add another one column layout and maybe I want to add a stylized quote. And let's go, at the Mat Lab of Training, we hope you find the answers you are looking for and have a wonderful day. And so now I've added a little, like a little pull quote from the director, the chair, your lead, your lead researcher, something of that nature. So now if I do a real quick refresh here, there we go. So now I have, an image to grab my attention, define who I am, why I matter, why should you care? Oh, there's a nice little quote beneath there. And then as I go down further, again, here's some interesting things about the lab. In 2020, I worked from home most of the year. In 2021, we have found a way to return to camp. Just kind of throwing things out here because I sometimes can't make things up on the fly very easily. But and I'm highlighting some things, and then now I get down lower, and I might just add in just like news articles or the alternating content block. Again, the kitchen sink has different types of things. So we have our alternating content block down here. So I might put in some navigation that way to highlight what it is we do here and move people through to other areas. So now I've got this. I've got a lot of stuff here. Let me grab my where's my so let me populate that out just a little bit more. So update, just trying to fill that space just a little bit more. So again, filled it. But you know what? I know I'm going to have a menu up top here, and my menu, I'm going to keep it as I know that people like drop down menus. I know that they work when you have subsections. But what I would maybe try to do is instead just keep this all single menu items up here. And once I land on these pages, again, kind of talk about that whole idea of um, your on-page navigation, and a similar question that came in earlier, which is like, do you need to follow the same layout throughout the site? Well, not yet, but once I get to that tertiary page, that sub page perhaps, now I might want to start to look at those similar layouts. But, you know, I have my navigation up here, and my navigation might say like, about undergraduate, graduate, join the lab, donate, staff, that kind of stuff. Um, but I can use other things on page here to create calls to action. And we do have, I had it open initially, but if I go back here, this is changing in the next UW theme update. The next UW theme update is coming in June. So I'm going to show you something now to think about. But this KB doc is going to go away because we're going to have a new one to talk through how to use the new buttons. But you can use buttons as calls to action. So I'll grab the code here, bounce back over here, and I'll hit enter there. And right now I need to put this in text. When we get the new button in, there's going to be a little icon here that you will be able to add your buttons on the fly. I'm very excited about this coming, but it's not here yet. So I'm going to go into my text tab, and I'm going to just drop in. Let's do a paragraph tag here. And so now here's my button, insert URL here. So, I'll just put in a random URL, but, maybe I want, research. And then, because I'm me, I might put in a couple more buttons there because I want to create 3 calls to action there. So now I have research, and then maybe I want articles or maybe publications. Maybe I want to highlight the publications. I can use this as a highlight for things that aren't a part of my top level navigation. Research, publications, apply. So I will hit update. Now this is going to look weird, and I'll fix it in a second, but I want you to see this. But there are my 3 buttons right there. So obviously they look kind of weird there. So what I'll do is first things first is I'll center them because I want them to be centered, and then you can kind of see how they're kind of just on top of each other. So for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to take the on-campus training with me, I'm sorry. I'm hoping to restart it again in the fall because I want to get back to training all of you in person. this is great, but I'd really rather train all of you in person. Um, One of the things that I do say is when you're dealing with your WordPress sites and WiscWeb and the UW theme, the benefit is you don't have to know code. You don't have to know HTML at all. But it doesn't hurt to dabble a little bit and learn some things that might help you out in the long run. And one of the things that I am going to do right here is I'm going to put in the code for the ASCII code for the ASCII code, a non breakable space character. This is just a space. That's all it is. And so I'm just going to put a space in between those buttons. So now they don't appear like they're sitting on top of each other. And I'm just doing it through code and through just a really simple thing. Now, obviously, WordPress has changed it to be a space there, but the code helps. So now if I update and I refresh, now I have my 3 calls to action right there as buttons in my introductory space within my home. I've welcomed you in. I have um, told you who I am. There are some things I think you should really think about. I have a nice little quote here. If I scroll down a little bit now, I've got some other things to like highlight what we do here. I've got more text blocks below. I can throw another 1 column layout down at the bottom there. So you can see this is that idea of tinkering. And the more you tinker, the more you might learn what works and what doesn't work. And like I said at the very beginning, I'm okay making mistakes and I'm okay being wrong. But you have to be able to accept and adjust. And a lot of times I see sites that either A, don't accept, or B, don't adjust to make sure that they are providing the best content that they can for their audience. Okay, so some other things that we can do with these layouts. So let me just take a look back at this this particular one here. 1 column, 2 column, 60/40, 1 column. If anybody wants to see anything in particular out of these, let me know in the chat over there. But I'll kind of keep throwing some things that I was tinkering with this morning. So let's go back. Let's add our upper content. I want a nice hero image. I really liked this image right here because it's just like it shows a faculty member working with a student there. Let's see. John Roll speaks with a student. Select. There it is. The headline. The headline is a value that I could put in there if I wanted to add a little text below there. So I could say, some classes have returned to in-person instruction following safety protocols on campus. And I could then update that. I'll show you that in a second here. So there's another thing to look at when you are tinkering with this gear icon right here. And one of the things that I want you to be aware of is tinkering's good, but be careful because sometimes your tinkering could cause accessibility issues. So, for example, you have a background choice here. If you choose one of these and put like text in there, so let's see what happens when I put. Let's go dark gray, and I'll update. So this worked. The text automatically changed for me. So I'm glad for that. So you can kind of see now. Hero image, welcoming in. Welcome to my lab. Nice picture of of something. here is who we are and what we're all about. Find out more. Quote. But I wanted to touch on that because you could potentially change an image. You could use an image for your background. And I've seen a few groups do this. But if I grab something, let's go with this one right here. Lighting a balloon on fire experiment. Select. So I'm using that as now the background there. And so now what you'll see is this is creating an accessibility issue. It's a cool thing to use, but I'm creating an accessibility issue. So be careful because that's hard to read on those colors. So be careful with what you're doing with background images. So one of the things that you could do is obviously what you could do is you could not use an image. But what you could do is let's go with transparent ice cube display. Is you could use Photoshop to make a transparent image, to make an image more transparent, which is what I did with this one right here. And so now I'll update it. Refresh. And so again, still a little concerning. I might want to go a little more transparent on this, but look, I mean, I've now added an image in there, and it looks nice. All right, it works. But another thing that I could do is there's this little checkbox right here for apply UW box style. I could check that, and what it does is it applies a particular style to that text block. And now I might edit the text a little bit, but now I've got full background, text on that background, but now the text does not become a concern because it applies the default background to it. And I've got my call to action buttons in there. All right. So now, again, I'm kind of building a homepage here. This is something that you could think about using if you wanted to just change things up a little bit. Honestly, there's a lot going on here, but it's also somewhat simple. Hero, 2-column layout, image, text block. 3-column layout, featured content block. 3-column layout, text blocks. 1-column layout, whatever. So again, just the different things that you could think about as you are tinkering is like, okay, this looks good. This looks okay. This looks okay. All right. I'm ready to publish it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that whole on-page navigation thing as well, just because that kind of question came up. So I have my home page. Let's go back to pages, and let's create a page called undergraduate. That's all. That's all we need. Okay. So I will move this layout. I will set it to a 2-column layout. I will gear icon. I will left 60, right 40. Let's go text block on the right. Again, I get caught up in thinking undergraduate information. And let's get our. I lost there's my lorem ipsum. So maybe I'll make this heading 2. Let's go heading 2. I'll center it. A little bit of text there. So on the right, what I can do is I can use the function group of links. And I can header it and I can just say, undergraduate menu. And I can use a predefined menu. Um, please hold. I build a predefined menu. Oops. New menu. Create a new menu. So we'll just call this undergrad. Create it. Chart tests, Twitter tests, sustainability testing, error page. There we go. Add to menu. There they are. Save the menu. Save draft, just so I can refresh it. All right. And so now I have, if I go down here, there's my undergrad menu right there. And so now I will publish this page. Again, I'm not going to go, looking at time. I want to keep kind of just hitting on some of the things that I want you all to be aware of. So I publish that page. I will open it up. And there it is. And again, obviously, I'm going to flesh this out more. I'm going to use some of these different layouts. I have a 2-column at the top. Again, you take a look at this and you go, right, I just built this one. Now I have options to do some other things. I have my 2-column up at the top. It has my menu in it. So now what I might do is, too many windows. My apologies. One of the things that you can do, and this kind of again goes back up to that question about all pages following the same layout. If I want a particular section to follow a particular layout, I have this option right here, which is called duplicate this. We have a plugin called duplicate page. I have this page layout. I have this page. I want to follow the same thing. So I'm going to click duplicate this. It creates an identical draft of that particular page that you just created. And then all I need to do is go into, let's go undergraduate requirements. And then again, I might change this up to be what you need to know, and then have some information in there. I've still got the menu right there too, and then I'd still have all that other layout that I have underneath. But now what I can do is I can use this page attributes section over here, and I can set the undergraduate page as the parent. And then I can click publish. So it's published now, and you can kind of see there's your URL. And now if I open this one up, there's the path. Same menu follows through. I can always get back to where I want to be using the breadcrumbs. But now I'm changing up what that section is. And again, this menu would start to be these additional pages that I'm creating. Kind of similar to what we do, what we have here with like our support section. Page elements is probably better. So here's our menu for all those page elements. And I can always get back up to page elements by clicking on that breadcrumb. So breadcrumbs are really nice. They are a really nice way to use navigation. Okay. One last thing to touch on before I kind of open it up to some. Again, if you have some questions, go ahead and throw them in there. If I can't get to them now, I will try to get to them as I can. So one of the things that you can also be aware of when you are using these column content layouts is in the gear icon, you have this row ID value. And so the row ID value is something that you can use for jumps. So if I sit down here and I just call this row ID quote, and then if I go down here and I set this row ID to, and I use lowercase, this is a me thing. It's just a formatting best practice that I've always used when I'm using jump links is I just always use lowercase. Whenever I build anything that is web-based, I always use lowercase for titles, links, things of that nature. Row ID, let's go with 3-column. Again, do not put spaces in any of these things. URLs, page links, anything like that. Um, you want them to be hyphenated. And I think that's it. That's all I've got here. Okay. So we'll just do it this way. So I have three column and quote. So now if I come up here, maybe I want, instead of these to go to separate pages, I want them to bounce down to other locations in page. So what I'll do is I'll go back over here to the text and I'll go and edit my code. And so let's see here. Let me find my buttons. Here's button number 1 for research. So instead, I'll have it bounce down to quote, ampersand, well, not ampersand, sorry, pound sign, quote, hashtag quote. Because this tells it to go somewhere, this tells it where to go. So then, same idea here for publications. I want the href to be hashtag 3 dash column. All right. So let's see if this works. So I'll view the page. There are my buttons. It jumps down to the quote. Now, looks weird because I'm logged in, so this bar covers the start of it. But like again, maybe I put here as the headline a message from our chair, and then maybe down here I go, what are we working on? Let's just refresh this page. There's that title there. And then if I click publications, it jumps me down to there, and that's that. So again, I don't think I'm throwing anything too crazy at anybody right now. Basically, all I wanted to do for this hour was to kind of show you some of the different ways that you can use those 1, 2, and 3 column layouts, some different ways to think about how to use your homepage, um, and really what your homepage should do. I too often see pages where I go to the homepage and nowhere on that homepage am I told who you are, what you do, what you offer, why it matters. So that's one of the things you really want to grab with your homepage is who are you? What do you do? Why are you important? Are you a global leader in research for these types of diseases? Are you um, a department with over 500 students graduating on an that's true or not? I'm throwing numbers out there on an annual basis for and placing 87% in employment. Those are the kind of things you want to say on your homepage that draw in. Um, so 5 minutes left. There's so much I shouldn't say so much. There's much more I could go into. I also created. Oh gosh, what did I have here? Let's do a let's do it here. Um, right before my buttons, maybe I want to highlight something else here, and I want to say, I created a silly chart earlier, just to kind of highlight again things that you can put on a page that are noticed. Again, this is something that we talked about last week. It was data charts, so I just created a silly data chart today on like pie flavors. So then I'll update that, and yeah, there you go. And oh, there's some more information about, I could add some other information in here, but oh, there's, you know, recent graduates and field of study, that kind of thing. Um, Funding dollars for lab research. Where is that money going? Again, a data chart on the homepage to tell you what it is, why I'm important, what I do. So, um, let's see, 11:57. A couple of things to touch on really briefly. There are some things coming in the next UW theme update that we hope to highlight either in next week's Lunch and Learn or the June Lunch and Learn. Um, the theme is being released in June. We have some cool features coming in. The button I have already shown previously. I will demo it again next week at the Lunch and Learn. Um, my brain just started going blank there as I said I wanted to tell you some things. If you're interested in this particular layout, I think I can export it and send it to you. So if you want to see it, go ahead and send me an email and I will try to export it. One of the things that we want to do, this kind of goes up to the first question, which is the gallery of layout types, is I want to try and tinker with WordPress's export functionality to create some of these like pre-created pages. So again, if you're interested, let me know. I will see if I can get this exported and sent over to you. Go ahead and send me an email. You should have my email. Um, and again, I can do another one of these to kind of keep going on, like I have one in navigation. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to say. I have one on navigation that I can link out to as well. Um, what I did want to say was, I know that people can't watch these live all the time, so I'm going to start creating posts on our news section, and then um, also link to them in my training site over here, on my training page, I should say, over here, so that you guys can get to these a lot quicker. Um, so I'll try and put those things over here, and I'll try and go back to some of my other Learn with Mats that I've done to link to those as well, so that you can. So like the navigation one I did was kind of, I think it was pretty useful, just because again, think outside of the box. It's not all about the menu up here. There's on-page navigation. There's breadcrumbs. There's your footer menu. There's the buttons. There's lots of different ways to move people through your site. Um, so I'll talk about that one. And then lastly, the last thing that I wanted to touch on, and I've had like three consultations um, over the past 2 weeks about this. Use your analytics. Use your Google Analytics information to help you dictate what pages should be looked at, what pages should be moved, what pages could be removed. Um, your analytics is an amazing source of information other than just got 100 hits this week. Ta-da! There's more information in there for you to use. And again, if people want to learn more about Google Analytics, we have some training videos out here to talk through it. Or drop me an email. Let's schedule some one-on-one time so I can talk you through that stuff as well. I think it's very beneficial to use your analytics for these types of ideas. Redesigns, navigation updates, things like that. So, okay, that's it. It's 12:01. I almost made it to noon. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Otherwise, have a good day. Have a good weekend. I'll hopefully have another one of these soon. We have some other things that we want to touch on about it. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.